skin cancer.
We can change it. Well, you know how I did these? I FaceTimed my sister as I'm trying on frames, and she's like, no, yes. I can't pick my own. Okay. Sucks to get old.
So my question to you is, through the art money, we set aside that money and it says for J County and it says staffing. We put, is this just for staffing or is this considered part of the department?
Let me take a look at that resolution.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It's been a while since I've done that stuff.
Okay,
So it's books for use by the staff.
yes, yeah,
I didn't just see how we wanted to.
yeah, it's just relapse prevention therapy. So,
Let me take a look and see. If it's broad enough to cover the jail program, we're probably okay.
Okay.
Just staff.
okay.
So I'll look at it. Maybe we can answer that.
They don't know anything about him either.
They don't need to know anything about it.
Well,
It's our,
I think we need to know something about him.
okay, it's off the itinerary. Take it off the itinerary.
Or we could
Take
just,
it off, it is off the itinerary.
well, we could ask
It is
him
off
to,
the itinerary.
we could ask him to
It's
submit
not here, it is
some.
not, just, I'm taking it off the itinerary.
Okay,
Enough.
okay.
Okay, let's call the, I don't even know what today is, November the 9th, 2022 Commissioners Meeting to order. If you'd all stand for the pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you preside over this meeting. We ask you to watch over our country and this county, and we ask that this meeting be conducted in accordance with your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Have the commissioners had the opportunity to review the minutes that have been presented?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second,
Motion by Steve Dillinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had the opportunity to review the claims?
Make a motion to accept the claims presented.
second,
And finally, payroll. Have the commissioners had the opportunity to review payroll? Oh, I didn't vote, sorry. Motion by Steve Dillinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Sorry about that. Payroll. Has the commissioners had the opportunity to review payroll?
Make a motion to approve payroll as presented.
second,
Motion by Steve Dellinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. The only report we have is an IDM receipt of air permit application. That the Indiana Department of Environmental Management Permits Branch received an application from the above-named company, Crown Equipment. Applicants are required to place certain types of applications at the local library, and that's just informing us. Do I have a motion to accept that report?
So moved.
Second,
Motion by Steve Dellinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Mr. Murphy. And you may have to turn your, I don't know if your mic's on or not. Oh, turn off your Star Wars. I got mine turned on.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. I gave you the most recent edition of the Chamber magazine, and I talked to Shonda and Cindy before I came over, and so this is a beautiful magazine that their office puts out, and provides a really nice update as it relates to expansions of which the county has been a part of and supported. Draper Incorporated, Boar's Head, and TS Tech, and then a nice feature on Spiceland Wood Products. And then for your kitty litter box, you can turn to page 8, and I wrote a little column there talking about the importance of downtowns. Yeah, it'll be good for the kitty litter. Thanks, Steve. And I just would like to point out that this is not all about Newcastle. I particularly included Knightstown as well because of the activity going on in their downtown. Probably could have included other downtowns, but there was enough words on the page as is. Make my move. Oh, one other chamber update. The Christmas walk is December 1st. You're all welcome. Make My Move. So if you go to www.makemymove.com/get-paid, Henry County, Indiana, you can see the full offer, including the community video that Make My Move created on behalf of the marketing campaign. It's a really good video and really all over the county. And so I would encourage you to take a moment and look that up. Maybe I'll send you the link. That way it'd be easier. I'm looking at my phone because I want to share some stats with you. And this is as of last week. Unique views on our page, 1,088. Applications, 104. Pre-qualified, 7. One offer has been made. I'm not sure that it's been accepted yet, but all of those numbers will just continue to grow. And just like sales, this is a numbers game. You got to talk to a lot of people, see a lot of people to get your yeses. And so I'm confident, based on the quality of our community and also Make My Move's marketing approach, we'll make the 20 movers by, within the contract time. But
How long was that again?
a year, and that year started basically in June. So appreciate the Board of Commissioners' support on that. I've specifically been keeping Commissioner Plummer and Council President Kenyon Gray kind of involved on an ongoing basis. And I'll continue to share updates with all of you. And at any time, if you have questions about the program, let me know. Happy to
So is
happy to
there
answer.
so when an offer is made, is there a time frame set for acceptance of the offer, or is it just out there until?
So, great question. Make My Move has this process really figured out. And so this particular offer has a 30-day window. But program-wide, they have recently changed and going to move to a 14-day window. So I think the next offer that is made on behalf of Henry County will have the shorter time frame.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's really cool. By way of reminder, targeting remote workers from out of state that make at least $50,000 a year. Any company here or any employer here, so employer would include county government, trying to attract somebody from out of state. So that's the key requirement between the both target markets is we're not trying to recruit somebody from Rush County. Try to get them to move from out of state, but any employer here in the county that extends an offer to somebody coming from out of state, they could be eligible for the same package. And I'll be communicating that directly to the employers soon. The employers will need to let me know a name, because if they come into the system, Make My Move system, and not as a remote worker, the system is designed to automatically say, well, you don't qualify. But as long as I have a name, I can let Make My Move know, hey, this person, don't kick them out. They need to stay in the system. So that is the process in which the Make My Move team and Penny and I have worked out. I could go on and on about Make My Move, but if there aren't any questions about that, I'll give you a highlight on a couple other initiatives. All right. Thank you to county government for sharing our child care survey. Appreciate Ms. Bankson sending that out to your employees. I don't know, approximately, what is the head count here? It's what, a couple, 300-400?
About three.
I knew I could catch it if I went that wide enough range, right? So that survey is, so we issued it, and this is right around fall break, and we closed it, and we realized that we wanted more participation, or at least the opportunity for more participation. We had about 250 responses. Most of the responses, so it's anonymous, right? But you pick your sector. Whether you're a business owner, business manager, whether you're an employee, you pick the sector. And manufacturing was underrepresented in those 250 responses. Education, financial, and I think other, which would be government, was highly, that's where we got the most responses. My point in droning on about all this is there was a question in there that it was a self-assessment. So if I were to take the survey, this is what I feel. How does childcare affect my performance at work? Open-ended, self-assessment. And you picked whether you had kids under 5 or over 5. The under 5, nearly 80% said it has an impact. Over 5, it was about 40%. So I only highlight that childcare matters. And it matters productivity. And so that's why we reopened the survey, hoping to get a broader cross-section of all of the economic sectors here in the county so we can get better data. What are we going to do with the survey? Well, we're going to have a facilitated discussion on December 14th for people to come together, primarily employers, but we would welcome anybody, to see if there are some solutions that we can work together, public, private, philanthropic, on addressing access to high-quality child care for the benefit of our community, both on the employer side and on the employee side. Finally, we reopened it because there were 2 announcements from child care service providers in 1 week that they were closing. One was a church-related ministry, and the other one was a licensed home facility. And I often don't follow Facebook for the drama, because you can find a lot of drama on Facebook. But there were parents legitimately panicking, looking for where are my kids going to go. And so that was the other reason why we opened the survey.
Just within the last week, right?
Do you know if those closed for financial reasons?
I don't know.
I think it's obvious that Henry County has needed more child care for many, many years. The question is, how do we get it? And it's real unfortunate that 2 are closing up or have already closed up. So I guess the
But
big,
if you followed in the same week, there was another lady that is opening one. I don't remember where, don't remember the details. I just remember seeing that because I wanted to go and you guys just go look over here.
So where there's challenge, there's certainly opportunity. So if you want to take the survey, you can go to our website, growinhenry.com, and it's right there. There's some cute-looking kids. They're not mine, don't worry, because anyway, that's funny. You can take the survey. We've been working on attracting a hotel here for a number of years, and for a variety of reasons, have not been able to have some success on that. We partnered with the city of Newcastle on another feasibility study, an independent feasibility study, based on Cobblestone's interest in building here. Cobblestone is headquartered in Wisconsin. They're family-owned. They target smaller communities. You're not going to find them in the big cities. That's not where they build. Population 2,000, yes, 2,000 and above. So our community is really on the larger size for their target market. There are 3 Cobblestones in Indiana right now. The closest one is in Brookville. There's one down in Salem, Indiana, which is off I-65, basically between Scottsburg and the sunny side of Louisville. Salem is population 6,000. My 5th great-grandfather settled Washington County in Salem, Indiana, so I'm very familiar with that area. And it's, as far as I know, the hotel's doing fine. And then there's one in Charlestown, Indiana. They have 165 locations in 28 states. They have targeted our community as a location to build. Their business model is to have a franchise. So Penny has taken the lead out of our office to play matchmaker with this opportunity and people interested in potentially investing and becoming a franchise owner of a Cobblestone. It can be simply one person, or it can be 100 people. That's really up to the local ownership. At this point, I tell you that the independent study was very positive. The projections were positive. However, that are just that. They're projections. And so here's the fine print. If this was a commercial, I'd be talking really, really fast, right? And I would say, no guarantee, no FDIC insurance. Invest at your own risk. But we wanted to make this opportunity available, and I'm talking about it in an open meeting because we may have missed somebody in our invitation. The invitation included over 100 people, and I'm sure we missed somebody. So if you're watching online and you have an interest in investing and becoming part of a local ownership of a hotel, give us a call, and we'll get you the same information that we sent out via email.
what size are these hotels?
66 units, center load, Cobblestone Hotel and Suites. And I practiced that, Ed, because I knew you were going to ask me. I became very, very specific because they have several different models. If you were to go on their website, and I want you to go on their website, we're looking at a 66-unit center load construction. They have a beautiful Main Street model. And that's, for whatever reason, and I need to find some more information, the independent consultant, who does not work for Cobblestone, did not select that style. And I'm trying to get on her calendar to have a conversation to see if that would be viable as well. Which leads me to this. Location has not been determined. Ultimately, the location would be determined by the local ownership in consultation with the city and/or county, depending on its location. Generally speaking, we look, and these are not in preference, right? There's no priority here. I'm just, at this point, you're just wishing I'd be quiet. Downtown, Northfield Park, Trojan Lane area, and then around your industrial park. That was the 4 locations that the consultant identified, and she scored them. If you look at the 198-page feasibility study, you can see what she thought. If we use Cobblestone's contractor, which is not required, but if we use their contractor, which is a sister company called Brymark, they do not do retrofits. It's not their area of expertise. They're looking at a bare piece of ground, and they will build new. It's a $10 million project, excluding the cost of land. $7 million financed, $3 million in equity. $3 million in equity is where the private investment comes from. And we have that in a 17-page pro forma business plan, detailed out. We also have the feasibility study at 198 pages. So there's my pitch or commercial. A little different take on business development, right? Come to you. We have a company wanting to, how do we get them here? They want to be here, but their business model is they look for franchise. And this has been such a need. It'll be 10 years in January that I've served in this community, and it was a need 10 years ago. So I think I've probably droned on long enough. Happy to answer questions. Thank you for your continued support of our efforts. And
Is there any type of has Cobblestone put any type of a time frame? How am I going to word this? Do we have a short amount of time to get something put together before they move on?
No.
Or, okay.
They understand that it takes time to do this. Once the investors, and I'm going to be very positive here, when the investors are assembled, I could have said if. When the investors are assembled, there's like a 90-day process to get all the paperwork and permitting. Paperwork internal to that private company. I would imagine they would form an LLC and determine how they're going to govern themselves. And that has nothing to do with us or you unless you become an investor. That's an internal family discussion within that LLC. How are we going to make decisions? Who's the managing partner? How are we going to manage this? They estimate it's a 12 to 16-month build. They used to guarantee the build. They stopped that. They do guarantee the price if Brymark does it. And that's not a requirement. Local owners could select their own contractor and go build. Based on what I know now, I would recommend that they give Brymark due consideration because this is all they do. And they do it in 28 states. And then there's also a management company that the local ownership could contract with, not a requirement, and the management company would take care of the day-to-day operations. So the investor group could be more on the passive side and not necessarily having to get down there at 5 a.m. to make sure their eggs are cooked for breakfast, although they could if they wanted to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, okay, Shauna's not here. So Angela's not here. Stacy's not here. Joe Copeland. What'd you say? Did you say go Packers? No, poor Packers. Oh, poor Packers, okay. I'm like, I thought you said he was a Bears fan, and then he said go Packers? Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
It's the usual list. I haven't had anybody, I've contacted several, and none of them want to carry the bid over that have answered me, okay, and I understand that, price of things, fuel and whatnot. So I propose to have the bid date later this year. Last year, I think it was like the 3rd of December, like the first week. I'm proposing to have it on December 22nd, Thursday before Christmas. And then I can put all the numbers together and award them tentatively on December 28th, it's your last meeting of the year.
So you would want the bids to be opened on the 22nd?
22nd at 10 a.m.
22nd.
I think the council meets, I had it down, the council meets that afternoon.
Okay. So we can, you want to look at your schedules? You don't have yours. Ed, you want to look at your schedule to see if the 22nd is available at 10 a.m.?
I'm sure it is.
Would you like me to have them bring yours down? Okay.
That's good.
I don't have anything. You're good? Okay.
Both dates.
Okay, so December 22nd at 10 o'clock for bid opening. Okay. We'll do that. Yeah, well, with all of these, there, I mean, there's 15 different items, that's quite a bit. Yeah, all right. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're still paying, so we're gonna try to complete everything we have on the schedule. There may be one or two that we added in the next year this year.
I did talk to somebody yesterday in Nicetown as I worked the polls who complimented the work that's been going on over there. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, they made a point to say, hey, it's going well, so they're happy.
South County line, and then there's the 850 south, and then the south, and yeah. So they're getting the job done.
They're very, and while you're up here, not that we had an odd thing happen of somebody posted a flag on one of the county signs. It was a county sign, not a stop sign. So I guess we took it down. We did not destroy the flag. So if anybody's listening and it's your flag and you want to come claim your flag, please come claim your flag.
I was gonna say it's in
But the
the
announcement
office.
is please don't put flags on county signs and block roadways.
I did pull up to the intersection when the wind was blowing and you could not see traffic coming down 36. It was hanging
Yeah, it was
out
at
that
36
far.
and 200, 400 west and
400,
36.
yep.
Yeah.
And it blocked your view. You could have pulled out in front of someone and not seen them. So
Yeah.
I took it down.
So,
But I do have it. It's here if they want to claim it.
yeah, if anybody wants to claim putting the flag up on a county sign.
It's on the road sign that says Highway 36 and 400. It was hanging on it, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the road name sign. Originally, it was said it was on the stop sign, but it was on the roadway sign. But, yeah, so please don't put signs up or flags up on.
Like I said, I don't mind anybody flying the American flag
absolutely
anywhere,
not.
but it was, with the wind blowing, it was definitely a traffic hindrance because I pulled up to the intersection, the wind was blowing, and you could not see down 36. So you could have pulled right out in front of someone.
All right. Anything else? That's it. Thank you. Steve, do you have anything? shows. Tom Green's not here. Sheriff McCorkle, you're good? Debbie? Jenny's not here. Casey?
So they're firing the cannon at 11 a.m. this Saturday. They're also, the museum's also going to serve donuts and cider until 12:30 at the Smith Building, and then the museum will be open until 4 for Veterans Day.
That's on Saturday?
Yeah, for Saturday.
Okay.
The golf cabin construction has started, and the same rustic appearance. We're not changing anything on that. There'll just be probably smaller beams around the fireplace, but that whole appearance will stay the same. It'll also be coated and sealed, hopefully weatherize it a little bit better. The shelter house review from FPBH should be to us by the end of the week. When I talked to them on Monday, they were about 75% done with that, so we should have that really soon. The park website is live, and we're now booking for 2023 reservations. We've already had a huge response, and the summer weekend dates are booking fast. The website link is on our Facebook page, and I'm working with Jeff to get the county website tied to that website. So we're still in that process, but it's live. You can go to the Facebook page and go to it on that way. So that one's good to go. And then our Christmas in the park is December 10th from 5 to 10. We're going to do like a walkthrough that night so we can close the roads down. I've got 50 vendors that are signed up and paid for. We'll have free crafts, food trucks, Santa, the Grinch, and the horse and carriage rides will be back. So,
Saturday, December the 10th from
Yep.
5 to 10.
yep. And we've also got, there's been about 5 businesses that have been sponsoring different shelters, and they'll either decorate the shelters themselves or they're going to donate money to the park so the park can decorate them. So,
Okay.
should be pretty cool.
All right.
We have any idea when we're going to know any numbers on the plumbing and electrical work in the park?
That is still being, so they came back on October 20th and picked up our maps that we routed all of our lines, our existing lines, and we haven't heard anything back on that yet. So I would say really soon, but they switched gears to get the shelter house review done, and then I think then we'll go back to the water and electric. So as of right now, I haven't heard anything after they got those maps, but they're both working on them.
Thank you, Casey.
Casey, before you leave, I would like to get an estimate of how much fuel, different grades, that you guys use for the year,
Okay.
and how much bulk storage you have, because I would like to get an idea of it to kind of put with Joe's, if
Okay.
that will help save you guys some money on fuel purchases for next year.
For sure.
If you
Yep.
can be included with that, but I need that for Joe to be able to figure that
How many
in.
gallons we've used this
Yes.
year?
How many
diesel.
gallon, how much you actually can store on site as far as your bulk tanks.
Okay.
So this way we've got an idea of how much you can have delivered, to get
Yep.
that included with him.
I can do that.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Jody's not here, Linda's not here, Gabe's, apparently we're not.
I'm here to address the issue of the house being occupied by the superintendent. Have you all made any decisions that you'd like to share publicly?
Joel, would you like to?
I'm still going through some stuff. I ought to be able to get something out there in the next couple of days.
Well, there's one thing that I would like to interject into this, and maybe Joel's already seen it. But originally, the property that on that house sits on, was part of a donation by the, let me get my notes, by the Kiwanis Club. They purchased the Burr property, which at that time, as far as I can tell, from any records, had 2 homes on it. One was used by the superintendent continuously up until just a few years ago. The other was a home across 3 that was used by I believe, foreman for a while. The foreman
became incapacitated or left, and there's notes about finding him some kind of retirement funds, and a note by the park board to the park superintendent to rent that. So there is historical precedent that has been a part of the memorial. Now, my concern is, and always has been, that we tend to try to run the park too much like a park and not enough like a memorial park. Having said that, looking at the legality of how the park was formed, which is now under statute IC 1018-3-1, no one has ever challenged that in any court action or anything at all. 1018-3-1, unless Joel knows something better than I do, does not.
Has been challenged as being put in the statute. It wasn't successful.
Okay.
The commissioners took the position with another section control.
Yeah.
So I guess it has been challenged, not successful.
Okay.
I guess, Steve, this is not the place to litigate all of your questions. Everything that you have given us, we have forwarded on to Joel. Anything else that you have questions, if you would like to forward on to Joel so he can make a review. But this is not the venue to go through each and every one of your,
I'm
because
sorry,
it has
but
been turned over to the attorney.
I beg to
review.
differ with you because the public has a right to know
Absolutely,
why things are going on.
But everything, like I said, everything has been turned over to Joel for his review, so I don't know that there is any decision to make today.
I didn't say anything about a decision to make.
I understand.
I'm trying to inform as to why it's important that the right decision is made. There is no way that I know of to terminate a memorial under that code. I can't find anything in there except where it says, oh, if the trustees decide that the building, that's all it says, is paid for, and it's running and everything, they don't need us anymore, we can resign, and the commissioners can take it over, or whoever's in charge of buildings in that area, and run it as a memorial. There is no doubt in my mind that whatever's been brought into this park is a memorial, and therefore has different rules of its own under who controls, which is part of 1018-3-1, gives control to the park board.
And again, all of that has been transferred over to Joel for his review. I don't think that this is the venue for us, we're just not going to go.
You believe the citizens don't need to know the background?
I'm not saying the citizens don't need to know, but we're not going to take an hour and a half in a commissioners meeting to just tick, 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 tick off every item. If you would like to set a public work session to tick, tick, tick off, we're more than happy to do so.
I don't think a work session is the appropriate place.
Okay.
I think a public meeting like this is the appropriate
A work
place.
session is a public meeting.
This is a scheduled board meeting.
Yes, but you
It's
did not
a work
schedule to get
session.
on the itinerary to discuss this. What was scheduled was for Casey to be, as the department head, to give an update on the park.
It does
I would
not
request
have
that
a
if you want to be
specification.
on the itinerary, that you get on the itinerary.
It does not specify anything about what is on your itinerary. The name of the former president is on the itinerary. I am now the president, so therefore I would believe I am on the itinerary. Now, you can run your meeting any way you want to. All I'm going to say is that is you're depriving the citizens of Henry County information that they might very well want to know about their memorial park.
And thank you, but I would ask that you specifically get on the itinerary if you want to talk about other things than updating at the park.
Are you singling me out as specifically?
No, I'm not. We request everybody to get on the itinerary.
I said, you had
Casey
her
is on the itinerary.
No. Look at the itinerary. Is not the former president on the itinerary?
I didn't know that she was the former president. Actually,
Yes.
I did know that she was, and Nathan Dunn was the president.
Well, now I am, okay?
All right, thank you.
For right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Butch, Oh, your fingers are dry.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to, a little bit of education and then a request. And the education is not something you haven't seen, only this time I'm presenting to you some documentation to back up what I've told this unit and the council in the past. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that for the future. What anybody does with it is it's up to you guys and the council. I understand that. So the sheet that I handed out to you starts with 2022 analysis of the state funds, and then goes down, talks about the city cash match funds that go to 911, talks about the county contribution to the 911, and then it has the totals and everything. A couple areas that I wanted to point out to you before I switch over to the 2023 is one of the elements, and there's two of them actually, about a quarter of the way down it says AT&T reimbursement, $70,000. And if you'll remember, that's an overpayment that was made several years ago that they finally paid us. And so but that's something that doesn't happen every year, so that was a one-time shot. The other thing is just about 3 lines down from that, state reimbursement. Every year there's a state reimbursement, the 90/10 is what they call it. In other words, right now we're getting $39,244 a month, every month, to run dispatch. And it takes $39,000 plus to just do payroll. So all the other operating stuff has to come someplace else. But they usually, at the end of each year, they give us as much as 130 or so. They give 70,000. They give 80,000. It's that 90/10 split, state 911 money. They told us last year, the first of this year, that this year it will be drastically reduced. Last year we got $70,000. I put $50,000 in there because to me $30,000 is drastic. So I'm hoping that we get $50,000, but we may not. But these figures, this 5-year projection is based off of getting the $50,000. If we don't, we're just going to be short that part of it. But and as you can see, the 911 funds, basically, at the end, we have $249,000, which would carry over to start off with 2023, and when we get to the end of 2023, it's that row on the right-hand side, we have $137,000. So it's right around $100,000 less funds to operate with for 2024 than what we've got now. To cut this short, and if you have questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. Down at the bottom, you can see that with this projection, that in 2026, well, in 2025, we'll have 127,000 to start the next year with. And then someplace in 2026, we'll be $72,000 short of continuing on. The reason I show you this is because it is declining. I think Baker Tilly was here on a couple occasions this year, and they said across the board throughout the state, not just Henry County, 911 funds are depleting. So give everybody a heads up to take a look to do something.
And that's the money that comes from the state.
That's the money that comes from the state. Whether it's the monthly payments that we get from the state, or whether
the
it's
reimbursement,
reimbursement at the end of the year at 90/10 split, which they tell me we hadn't even got it this year. I talked to them 2 weeks ago, and because we normally have it by now, and she says they're still crunching numbers at the state, and she says, you do remember it's going to be considerably less. I said, yeah, but every penny helps. So we're just still waiting for that to happen.
So the state monies that are lessening, it's because the state is just not wanting to fund that
Well,
portion, or?
No, I think what it is just like everybody else. We, with the local money, the cash on hand local money, if you look at and compare the city cash money and all that, it's not reducing, it's not increasing, but the cost of things, I just printed out one copy, which I'm going to leave with you, but these pages here are everything that we pay bill-wise. Some of it's 911 phone services that we have to pay. Some of it is maintenance agreements for Motorola, for Spillman, insurance, the licensing for the radios equipment, the maintenance on the radio equipment.
So your costs are increasing, not necessarily that the state's not.
It's a combination. The
Of
state's
the two.
reducing the amount of money they're giving us every year, and the cost of everything is going to continue to go up. Those calculations has a 2% cost of living or increase in cost of all the bills that we're currently paying now.
And that doesn't include adding more employees.
Well, yeah, we've got the one employee added on there. If you'll look on the right-hand side, underneath the 2023 projection of 911 funds, there's $62,000. Sort of, it's lighter than the others.
Yes, I see.
That's the added dispatcher, which obviously is going to come out of that money too. But if you didn't do that, and now we're back to 5 short instead of now 4 short compared to the report, you're still going to be out of money in 2026. So you know, the line's going to get drawn at some point.
So you're 5 short now?
According to the report, the staff report,
So you don't have a plan for adding any people for the next 4
that was
years?
at $62,000. I got the council to agree to let me spend $62,000 of the 911 money, which is in a pot over here held by the county. That can't be spent on anything except for 911. I got them to agree to let me put on one more person to offset the 5 people I'm short. And I'll just be honest with you. I mean, there's 2 dispatchers over right now, and if nothing's going on, piece of cake. But that doesn't happen around here too often.
There was a chase yesterday.
Yeah, had the pursuit yesterday. When that happens, that ties up one totally. Actually ties up 2, but they can't do it that way because there's people throughout the other part of the county. They don't realize there's a chase going on down here, so they're still calling in things. They're still needing things. The other officers are out there, firemen, EMS, working medic runs, what have you. So those phones are still ringing. Somebody's got to answer them. So 2's not enough. Need 3. So, you know, that's why I'm 5 according to that study. 3 to man it for full-time all the way around. The purpose for me to telling you this and explaining it to you and hopefully answering any of your questions is to say we've got to develop a plan for the future for 2026. And we can't wait till 2026 to do that. We've got to start something now. The 911 board, at our last meeting, they talked about setting up a subcommittee to explore some possibilities. We have our first meeting next week, and we've got a couple, 2 or 3 possibilities that we would like to look into. I can give them all the numbers of where we're at and where we're not going to be involved or operational, but we need something. I need the expertise, I guess, of Baker Tilly to be able to say, if you do this, it's going to cost the county this, and it's going to generate this. So we can put that together and have a full package to bring to the council next year and say, here's your options. Option 1, option 2, or option 3.
But as it stands right now, these numbers don't reflect any addition of personnel.
Just that one. But
one.
they show
Right.
that one,
So you're
yeah.
still,
No.
you're assuming you're going to operate 4 short for the next 3 or 4 years?
Well, until
So-
a plan is put together to financially accommodate hiring additional
So it's-
4 or 5 people.
Potentially a little bit worse than this looks.
Theoretically, yes. I mean, if you added the other 4 employees, we're broke next year.
Right.
So, I mean, that's basically it. It's just one of those things where we could actually extend it if somebody signed off on a piece of paper and authorizing me to go down to 1 dispatcher per shift. But lawsuits are going to eat you up because one person definitely can't handle it. So again, what I'm looking for.
I know that there's a couple options. What I would, and Butch and I have talked about, and he brought up Baker Tilly. I know that there are there's two options.
Yeah.
The PSAP tax, which is the public safety, I don't know all the words for all the letters, the acronym, and then increasing the safety lit.
Yeah.
Increasing that as well. But we don't know how that will affect anything. Butch and I had discussed maybe bringing in or having Jason Simler take a look at it and put together a plan of which, these are your 2 options, and this is what each option will generate. So that a plan can be presented and, hey, this is what we'll need to do because we can't wait for 3 years to implement something in any way, shape, or form in order to cover. And we are tasked with the safety and welfare of all citizens of the county.
And it's my understanding that if or whichever would be implemented, it takes a year.
It does.
And so you're really talking 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, before the funds start coming in. So that's why I feel it's important now to request this from you guys, and then after the first year, educate the existing council and the new council people coming in so that they can make a decision.
Better decision. So Butch has asked if we can bring Jason Simler into and give him the information so he can put together some sort of an initial calculation, what each option would be and bring to the county.
Okay with me?
So do I have that in a motion?
So moved.
I would like to make a second on that motion.
All right, so a motion by Steve Dellinger, second by Ed Tarantino to engage with Jason Simler at Baker Tilly to come up with the various options and how they will be affected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Butch.
I'm going to leave this.
Okay. And if you could email me this, because I wrote all over mine, so if anything needs to be sent to Jason. Oh, no. I absolutely won't. Mandy and Lucas are not here. Bill's not here. Glenn, do you have any updates of anything? And I think everybody that's in here has met Glenn. Glenn is the county's new grant writer. You've been here a month?
Almost.
Almost a month? Close to a month?
Yes.
A month tomorrow?
A month. Yes.
Yes, a month tomorrow. All right.
All right, good morning. Just a general update in relation to where we are and some of the things that we've been working on and considering in relation to talking with various department heads, including the commissioners as well, so that you'll know the focus that we are developing here to the point that we're developing priorities in terms of focusing on the needs that we want pretty much taken care of in terms of grants. And we've been researching federal grant sources, state grant sources, as well as private foundations. And some of the priorities that have been given and some of the ones that we're looking at would include, and obviously, the repairs and restorations to the 3 office buildings. That's paramount because we've gotten the bonds, and we're looking forward to making those repairs and restorations. But also, too, as we're considering grant possibilities to to go along with that and to help fund some of that. We have to keep in mind that that along with the bonds, and we'd just love to use those bonds as matching because they would really give us an element in terms of a grant application that would be very competitive, be it whatever grant source it was, because in most instances, a lot of projects just don't have the local matching funds or leveraging funds, if you will, and to be able to use bond funding in an application, it would make for a very competitive application, regardless of what level of the grant sources that we're looking at. But something, too, that we'd have to keep in mind is that with the bond sources, or with any sources that we're considering in terms of using leveraging or match, if you will, that once a project has started, then most grant sources will not let you use the money that's been accumulated for a particular project toward match on that project. So I think we have pretty much a golden opportunity here, if you will, especially in relation to the bonds that and the buildings that we could use for that. And again, it would make those applications very competitive to the point that we should consider the projects and the possibility of grants in accordance because of that stipulation that if a project is started, then you can't use those funds for matching funds or leveraging funds. So perhaps maybe something could be done there to the point that we could strategize the possibility of grants moving forward, coupled with the bonds, to the point that we would be able to use them pretty much hand in hand as far as a project goes. So that's something that we should keep in mind. And also been looking at possibilities in terms of cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is always a threat. And especially now with, you've got hijackings of certain systems, and you've got breaches that get into cyber systems to the point that it really distorts and in some instances corrupt the systems that are there. And given the dependability of computers, especially now, and given as much that's been handled with computers, especially with the county, cybersecurity it's a priority. And so with that being the case, then that's an area that certainly we're looking at in terms of trying to secure funding that would help with the county's efforts for cybersecurity. And also I've been made aware that there's an interest in terms of energy improvements in county-owned buildings. Because right now, in most of the buildings, you're looking at incandescent lighting and fluorescent lighting. And I know the value of those because, as I've discussed previously, is that my dad was an electrician. And up until I went off to school, to college, I worked with him in putting in a lot of the fluorescent lighting and incandescent lighting that you see in and around some of the places now. We did that back when I was a kid. And so I very much understand those types of lighting to the point that now, with there being LED lighting, which is more efficient and produce bigger and better lighting, and also at a cost savings in terms of energy, then certainly you would want to look at that as well. And so with that being the case, I think there are lots of opportunities for federal, state, local grants, especially the foundation that's coming up. And I was hoping that maybe we'd be able to find a source by the end of the year. But as you can imagine, with as we've already gotten into November, and then all that's left is December, many of the deadlines for many of the grant sources for 2022, they were set for October and early part of November. So what we do have the fortune of looking forward to is the 2023 grant cycling with many of the grant sources, because most of those, as I found, they will be coming up in January, February, and in March. And that gives us lots of time to the point that we could start putting together those applications to the point that we could get those submitted. So again, these are the areas that I'm looking at right now, and considering all possibilities of grant sources that are out there. And if anyone has any ideas or needs that you'd want looked at in terms of additional funding, maybe securing of grants and so forth and so on, please feel free to let me know so that we could get together, sit down, and let us know just what the needs are so that we can discuss it with the commissioners and prioritize those to the point that we can move forward in terms of searching for grants to help fund many of the needs that are out there and improvements that the county wants to move forward with.
Thank you. Any questions for Glenn? Thank you, Glenn.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I think that was Scott's not here. Okay, so the next one, item is the HVAC service agreement, annual service agreement with Piney for the Justice Center. It lists all of the things that they do, which they are here a lot. They do a lot in the office. I will just name a few of the things that they do. They service the chillers, the air handlers, the boilers, heaters, boxes, fans, controls, the pump motors, the VAV boxes. They inspect all the chillers, everything with the HVAC. Some of these things, I can say the word, but I don't know what they do because I'm not an HVAC expert. So this contract is for the total amount of $22,161 for the annual maintenance contract of the Justice Center. Any questions? Do I have a motion to accept? No, you're not jumping. Do I have a motion to accept the annual contract with Piney? I'm just asking for a motion.
Well, I just hate the fact that we seem to pay them an awful lot of money, and there's always something being fixed in that building, and I'm trying to rationalize the correlation between the two. It just bothers me that we spend that amount of money and they're always there.
All I can say to that is it's a very big building and things break. It's an old building, it's a big building, and things have to be taken care of, so.
2 years ago, we did look,
We don't have to approve it, but what's your plan after that?
we did look at other companies. It is very discouraging because even though we have routine maintenance on that building, we have also routine, very high bills, mostly to do with the HVAC system, which we're paying $22,000 a year just to do maintenance on it, and the costs far exceed that maintenance contract. But when we did look at it a few years ago, there didn't seem to be other companies that would do maintenance any cheaper. So it's just a bad situation. When you look at the building, you don't think of it as a really old building. I guess it's planned obsolescence like everything else they make today. We just have really big bills associated with that building. And even with the maintenance contract, it's very discouraging for the people that work there, that I don't think a week goes by without something being wrong with the air conditioning or the heat.
I'd say a week. I will say a week. A week does go by. It's not every week. It's often, but it's not every week.
But, like I said, we did look at other companies, and I don't know if anyone had a better option. We also looked at hiring a full-time person,
Oh,
but that didn't look like it was going to work out either.
oh no. Yeah, I don't. It would be great if we were the size of Hamilton County and had a maintenance staff of probably, 30, but we don't. Anyway, so do I have a motion to accept or reject this agreement?
I will reluctantly make a motion to accept this agreement.
Second.
Motion by Steve Dellinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. So we are going over, we're going to bypass the park board appointment because I did not put in the information regarding the person that had applied into the binder, so we will take that off. Old business we have is Schaefer Leadership Assessment Proposal. So we tabled it from last meeting to see if I did an informal email poll of all the department heads and elected officials. I believe I got responses from most. I don't know that I got responses from everybody, but I got responses from most, and they were all in favor of, that most of them were yes, yes, and yes. A couple made additional comments. One of the additional comments, and I think that was sent to everybody, was what was the end goal for doing Schaefer Leadership Academy, or this assessment. So this assessment is $2,500. After the assessment, in order to do any of the programs, you're looking at approximately $9,000. So those were the questions. Again, most everybody, I'd say 95% was a yes to all three questions. I can't remember the questions I asked. Did you want to do it? I don't remember the three questions, but they were yes, yes, and yes. Should elected officials be included? Should elected but non-seated officials be included? And should we do this? So I'd say 95% was yes, yes, and yes. We have the proposal in front of us. Are there any questions or comments before we move forward with this? None? Do I have a motion to accept the assessment for $2,500?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal from Schaefer Leadership for $2,500.
Do I have a second?
That doesn't commit us to anything past that, does it?
Nope.
I'll second that.
But I will, with a motion and a second, I will make this statement. It does not commit us to something, but if we do not move forward afterwards, then it's a waste of time to do the $2,500 assessment.
Well, I kind of feel like it was a waste anyway, but if
Yeah.
everybody else thinks it's beneficial, then I'm not going to be the one person to say that it's not.
All right. So
Well, the assessment is supposed to point out problem areas, so we would have that information, whether we agree that's a problem area, and whether we agree that they could fix it. We'll still get something out of the assessment, I think.
Well, and I'm not against you going through Schaefer Leadership, but we also need to be good stewards of the money. And if we don't complete, if there's an opportunity or a chance that it won't get completed because we can't fund the $9,000 next year, why waste $2,500 this year? But we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want more discussion then. If
Okay.
you don't believe this is going to be beneficial to go any further, then
I
I
don't
would
know
like
that
to
we
believe
will.
that I would like to believe that there are enough people in county government that were smart enough to figure out what our problems are and how to fix them.
Sure. I understand where you're coming from.
And I hate spending money to fix problems that I'd like to believe we're smart enough to fix on our own. So if that's where we're at, we're not wanting to spend it, I'll withdraw my second.
Oh, I'm not saying that we're not willing to. I don't know where that $9,000 is going to come from, is all I'm saying. I didn't say not willing. I said there's two parts to this. The assessment at $2,500, and then after the assessment, then it's another $9,000 for...
10 to 20,000.
Is it 10 to 20?
10 to 20,000 is what he said in the.
Okay, so 10 to 20,000 in programs. Where is that additional money is going to come from? That's my only concern. I mean, I don't have a problem doing it, but I also don't want to waste money if there's not $20,000 next year, or 10,000, or even 9,000 to pay for it.
I'm going to withdraw my second.
Okay. Motion dies for lack of second. Okay, so next we have resolution regarding bells of peace. So Mark Sean Orr reached out to, I think he sent an email to each one of us discussing the tolling of the bells to honor those who served in war on Veterans Day. So resolution number 2022-11-09022, resolution regarding bells of peace, a World War I remembrance. Whereas a century ago, 4.7 million American families sent their sons and daughters off to World War I, whereas men and women from Henry County served selflessly and honorably in World War I, whereas 116,516 Americans gave their lives in the war and more than 200,000 were wounded, whereas the tolling of bells is a traditional expression of honor and remembrance, and whereas in November 2018, the world commemorated the 100th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November the 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Whereas on April 6, 2018, the United States World War I Centennial Commission called upon all Americans across the nation to toll bells in remembrance of those who served in World War I on Armistice Day. Now therefore it be resolved that Henry County does hereby call upon its citizens to toll bells in remembrance of those who served in World War I at 11 a.m. on November 11, 2022. Do I have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Steve Dellinger, second by Ed Tarantino. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. We will be tolling the bells at 11 o'clock here at the clock tower.
Since we have done this, I think, 4 or 5 years now? Since this started, I believe. Maybe we should also look at just making this a permanent fixture until this goes away, instead of having to renew it every
I
year.
don't think, this was not for us to have to do this every year. Mark just asked us to do a resolution. I mean, we toll the bells every year. I mean,
Right.
it's not something that we have to have a resolution to do so. I guess we can look at making it a permanent. Joel, at that point, we'll have you put together something permanent. And then, oh, did she not get the resolution for the art in here?
Where I didn't see it.
I had sent it to her. It may have been, if you can, yeah. Mhm. For the EIRPC. While we have a lull, Jerry reached out to me and wanted to, in the public comment, so I'll just let you come up instead of during the public comment, yeah, while Debbie's doing that, so we don't just sit here with dead air.
Bobby, I really appreciate the opportunity. To the commissioners, Mike and I felt it's time to update you on the Newcastle Land Bank Commission, since the county was so kind to transfer some properties over to the city of Newcastle. What I'd like to do is just give you a little background information about the commission itself, and then Mike's going to talk about some of the properties so that you're fully informed in a roundabout way. Basically, the land bank idea came through the Henry County Building Henry County, what do I want to say, Joe? Housing Committee, yes, thank you. And I've served for the city on that since I've been elected. It's a very active committee, a lot of things that it's done here in Newcastle and around the county. Jeff Ray was kind of the emphasis behind this. And we finally last early winter passed an ordinance through the city to start a land bank. Through due diligence of Joel, working with the state statutes, commission was put together. It's a 9-member commission. We have 1 adjunct member. We've gone through some changes, but working through Joel's guidelines, we were able to put a program together. We basically jump-started in April with 0 funding. We were able to get a grant through the foundation for $5,000. And I'm very happy to announce that at this time, we're over $45,000. And we will be hitting over $50,000 here real soon, right, Joe, with what's on the table. It's been very successful. It's something I'm very proud of working on because I do represent the city on the commission. And it's because of your help in turning properties over from the tax sale base to the city that enabled us to move on forward with this. So appreciate that very much. And with that being said, I'll let Mike add his information on the property so you have a little better idea of what's happening with it.
Right. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, we really appreciate Commissioner's help in acquiring those other properties this summer. And we do have signs up on a couple of those already. We're trying to limit how many signs we put out. That's our only form of advertising right now. But we're also trying to get a Facebook page set up for the Newcastle Land Bank. But since March of this year, we've sold 10 vacant lots, 1 home, and I think by this Friday there'll be 3 more lots that are turned over to private citizens. And as I said before, I think what we're trying to do is get these to adjoining landowners that have taken care of their property, kept their taxes up. And in the short term, we think that's working very well. And I think all of these properties have gone to adjoining landowners for the most part. So,
All the properties, what? I didn't,
have gone to adjoining landowners. We're keeping them ownership here in the county.
is there a website where people can see what's available?
We don't yet. Phone calls I've gotten, I've given them a copy of the list of properties that we have, but we haven't got a website set up yet. Between Facebook and website, that's something we're working on. We're trying to get somebody on the board, and we think we have that can help us with some of that.
We could
Most
just,
of us are
could
too
we
old to
just
figure
use
all
the
that
county's
stuff out.
website to put that on there? List of properties? That shouldn't be too tough if you just had a list.
Yeah.
We-
I think that they're also wanting to do a more in-depth information website for the Newcastle Land Bank besides just listing
Right.
properties.
That's our
We
goal.
probably could, yeah, but I think their goal is additional information as to what the land bank does, how it works, what's its, is that what I'm seeing about when
Yeah.
you're talking about a website, not just listing available properties?
And that's something that the county may want to look into and maybe already doing is a land bank for the county. I think that would be a big plus to get a,
It has been brought up.
Yeah, you can't establish county land bank, but county land bank would essentially have jurisdiction in any area of the county that does not have its own land bank. Essentially, it'd be all the cities, all the towns, I guess, except for the city of Newcastle, which has its own. And there'd be representatives from each of those towns that want to participate.
and I think more of these properties that we can keep in local ownership, the more control we have over them when they get out in California and the East Coast or whatever. It's hard to bring those people in for violations of mowing and
Right.
we get those off our rolls as far as maintaining them. That's less cost also, so appreciate your help on all that.
Thank you. Yes, Terry.
Thanks, Mike. And I'd like to add that we meet the 3rd Thursday of each month at 5 o'clock in the city council chambers. And everyone is more than welcome to come. Last 30 minutes, that's a long meeting now with everything hammered out the way it has been.
Would you
So,
say it lasts how long?
30 minutes. If it lasts 30 minutes, it's a long meeting now. So
Well, that's what I heard 30 minutes and long meeting. I was like,
It's really turned into a well-oiled machine. And Ed, to help out with your one thing we'd like to do is get that electronic footprint where we have pictures before and after. As Mike said, it's the adjoining property owners that are buying these properties up to extend play areas for their kids, build a garage. So it's actually getting these properties back onto the tax base, taxes that are being paid. So it's a really good deal for not only Newcastle, but for the county.
What time did you say? I'm sorry.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yep.
And
Any questions?
it's in the city
City chamber.
chamber. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for getting this. I know I had sent it to Kayla, but she's out. So on the ARP resolution, I'm just going to read, it's Resolution 2022-11-0922. The resolution stays the same. The only thing that has changed is Exhibit A with the addition of the sum of $11,060 to contribute to the cost of annual membership for dues Henry County to participate in the Eastern Indiana Regional Partnership. Planning Commission, does it matter if it doesn't say partnership or planning commission because it's the EIRPC? Can we?
I think we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that there's not a different one.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. This was passed out of committee. I think it was a vote of 3-2, passed out of committee to be considered by the commissioners. So do I have a motion to accept this, to pay membership for the EIRPC out of ARP funds?
I'll make the motion to pay our EIRPC membership out of ARP funds.
Do I have a second? You can discuss it before you want to make a second.
Well, I don't have a problem being part of the IRPC, I really don't. I just wanted to see a little more results from the money that we spend, and so far I'm not getting that. I do see the need that there is a lot of broadband money coming down the pike. I don't want us to miss out on. I worry the fact how we're going to continue to fund this if we stay in it, so this would be a one-time deal in my opinion. If we don't see some sort of result after this year, I'm not sure we should stay in it, so another reluctant second.
Okay. My comments are going to be this, and sometimes I've made this comment before and other people don't like it, but this EIRPC membership has been funded under the council's line item budget. This year at budget time, they chose not to fund it under their line item. I'm assuming they had a reason as to why they didn't want to fund it and be a member at that time. There are 3 ways that they can fund it under their budget. Actually, there may be more. One, they can transfer it out of another fund, line item, into their fund. They can do an additional appropriation, or they could have modified their budget prior to, because it's my understanding that the thought of using ARP money was before they approved the budget to be sent to the state. So there are many different options to use besides ARP money. I, too, am not against being a member of the EIRPC. It's not about whether or not we need to be a member. It's about where the funding's coming from. And the council chose not to fund this at budget time. So in my mind, they had every opportunity to fund it not using ARP money. So with that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, aye. Motion carries 2-1. Again, my nay is funding from ARP, not joining the EIRPC. So this will move forward and go to the council. Do we have anything else? Anybody else? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All righty.